Hello, old friends and new friends. Welcome. Moses here, and today we'll make a Diablo 3 video. And it's about the Necromancer. Now, some of you know, some of you don't. I used to be pretty serious about Diablo, but I guess it's been about 5 years since I last played, seriously. Um, and I'm not really playing seriously. I'm not grinding 14, 15 hours a day like I used to, pushing paragons and all that. These days are over. But I did kind of feel like streaming because in the last 6 to 8 months, most recent times I've been kind of like absent from Twitch. I haven't been streaming all that much, and it has to do with a lot of reasons. Which I'm not gonna get into, but just in general, I kind of like lost, my interest in gaming, I guess you could say, and a lot of it has to do with getting in shape, and the weight loss and the diet and the exercise and all that kind of stuff, and just taking care of myself rather than sitting in front of the screen for 12 to 15 hours every day and stream. So yeah, and Path of Exile kind of like, got old. And so here we are, about 6 to 8 months later. I guess I could say about 5 years later, because it has been about 5 years. I guess it was season 6, whenever that one was, since I last played Diablo 3. And since then, not much fundamentally changed. People still grind Paragon, do Greater Rifts, play group, farm. They're all slaves to the meta. Everybody's, just copying whatever the top guy in the leaderboard is doing. I haven't looked at leaderboards at all. Um, it's crazy. People are doing 143 in solo, so I guess power spikes, but that just, makes sense. Um, so yeah, these things will happen. I'm totally not there. I'm just, I just felt like streaming, and I felt it's been kind of a long time since I streamed, and I felt like, what kind of game I could get into on a daily basis where I could stream like 3 to 4 hours just like casually alongside my other activities. And then I thought Diablo 3 might actually be a good game for that because it has been a very long time. So, I had a lot of critique back in the day. Um, but they're also um, introduced the Necromancer to the game, right? And a bunch of other things. So I can't say that the game is like just insanely different because it's not. Essentially, like I said, they're doing paragons, they're doing group farming, everybody has a role, and it's pretty much the same. Maybe slight changes every season, but the concept is exactly the same as it was 5 years ago. There hasn't been a massive expansion. Even the introduction of the Necromancer itself to the game, I never really considered as, adding content to the game because it doesn't give you something else to do except doing the same things now with a different class. But, for me, I guess 5 years later, it's enough. And as I'm playing the Necromancer, I'm kind of like starting to like this class, and I've been having kind of fun. I guess I've been streaming about 5 days now. I've been taking it again super casually, no group stuff. Maybe I did some split farm bounties, like one round with a dude, but other than that, I've been just strictly playing solo and just kind of like examining and identifying items and seeing what's new and gathering these set pieces and trying out some stuff that is completely new to me because you got a whole bunch of items that do a whole bunch of things that are new, and an entire class that has a bunch of skills that I'm completely new to me. And it's been a lot of fun to kind of like try and make a build that would work from the leveling process throughout the point where I'm starting to get like some decent uniques or legendaries, and to the point where I'm starting to get full set pieces. And so far I've only did two sets. I've did the Trag Owls. There's an N missing. The original Trag Owl from Diablo 2 has an N to it. This one is just Trag Owls, which is kind of weird. Either way, um, this video is not so much about this one. Maybe my build and the fact that I had a two-handed weapon when I first, I had like an ancient two-handed weapon when I first played with the blood set, Tragal's avatar. And yeah, so these two facts kind of like made it super slow and not particularly fun to play, like super clunky. And maybe just the fact that I don't know what I'm doing, I didn't know what I'm doing, and just like, trying out some stuff with the Necromancer for the first time. So this is the first set I completed, and that's the first set I did. And then the second one I completed was this, and I kind of got stuck with that in the past 2 days, I guess, day and a half since I completed it. I managed to also get full other two sets. So we have the Pestilence and the Rathma, which I haven't touched yet. So this one I'm keeping for later, but for sure I'm going to try out both of these sets as well. Now, something that I think maybe, or maybe not, would interest you guys is this. So I didn't know that existed until I started playing again. And this is called Legacy of Dreams. It's a pretty sweet legendary gem that is, I don't know how new it is, doesn't matter, but it's new to me. So essentially what it does is by adding that to any of your sockets, it make it so that, a lot of the criticism about Diablo was that you always have to equip a set, and without the set your character is going to be useless. And they did a kind of a nice job in introducing a whole bunch of unique items that will never be useful because you're committed to either 5 or 6 pieces of set, and that kind of like takes about a half of your item slots. So if you have to commit to that, and everybody's having to commit to that, then you're never really going to be able to make a lot of different builds and a lot of kind of like, build diversity and all that kind of stuff. So here comes the Legacy of Dreams and changes that completely. Essentially, it gives you, when you have no set bonuses, legendary items, you have equipped, increases your damage dealt by percent damage, and that ranks up all the way to 99, and reduces your damage taken by 2%. So you're getting a bunch of damage reduction, and you're getting a bunch of extra damage per item. And now that bonus is doubled for ancient items. So this essentially not completely negates the usage of sets. I guess in certain cases it would, but it just allows you to diversify and essentially equip any kind of sets of any kind of pieces, not sets, but any kind of pieces of ancient items that you find interesting, and combine that with any kind of, not skill oriented, but like item oriented skills that you feel like using, because here you have like skill oriented items, right? Here, for example, this Inarius, the set that I'm using currently, has the whole bone armor stuff, and things are happening while you have bone armor, right? So this is very oriented to a certain skill, bone armor, right? And then you get a whole bunch of bonuses while that's happening. Here you have stuff with skeletal mages. Here you have stuff with bone spear. Here you have stuff with simulacrum and all that. So every kind of like set gravitates you towards a certain skill. But with this Legacy of Dream, you can grind, you'll get your set pieces, you can grind with those, and then kind of like gather up your gear and start collecting a bunch of ancient items, level up this gem, and then while you're grinding and getting familiar with the class, with the sets that for me are again new, you could then farm enough ancients to make a build like that work, and kind of like see how you pushes how it stands in comparison to sets and how far you can push with it, right? So that's kind of like what I'm planning on doing in the next couple of days, couple of weeks. Who knows how long I'll feel like playing Diablo, but for now I'm playing Diablo, and this is something to keep in mind. But again, this is a legendary gem that doesn't necessarily apply only to the Necromancer, but also to every other class, and it's something that you can do with whatever class you enjoy the most, right? So it's not necessarily just Necromancer stuff. It applies to all classes, and that really kind of opens up a whole bunch of fun builds that you can enjoy, and you can make your own unique kind of like stuff that is not associated with the leaderboard. And you guys, you may know or not know, for me, it's always been like, you know, leaderboard is nice and stuff, but who cares? You know, if you're not in a group, you're not going to have the 4,000 paragons anyways to be able to really push to rank 1 and all that kind of stuff, because, you know, a couple of weeks or a month into the league or season, those that have a group and those that don't have a group, you can really kind of like tell the difference. So if you're playing casually, leaderboard shouldn't really matter to you. I always recommend to just, you know, try out some stuff for yourself, read the legendary item description and see what they do, try out the associated skills with those legendaries, and kind of like try and find cool little synergies that are happening regardless of what's going on the leaderboard. All right, so that's kind of like the I guess presentation for the build for the video, and this is the video, so I guess it's gonna be a bit long, but hey, some things just needed to be said. So Necromancer, this is kind of like a pretty fun little build that I made. I don't know if people play it. I don't care. I don't know. You know, maybe there are ways. Probably there are ways to optimize it. Probably there are ways to make it better. But yeah, at the moment, this is what it is. Just to kind of like give you an idea if you haven't played the Necromancer. So that's the whole kind of deal. So this again, Inarius set revolves around the bone armor skill. Bone armor itself is a skill with the dislocation, sorry, rune allows you to stun things. So bone armor basically gives you damage reduction, you know, per nearby enemy, essentially. And it does a little bit of damage. Now the damage is kind of insignificant because, you know, it's a proc and then you have to wait 10 seconds, right? But the damage reduction per nearby enemy, that's what matters. And yeah, so bone armor, and you have a little kind of like you know, actual bone armor that the Necromancer equips, which looks pretty cool. So bone armor, and then so whenever bone armor is active, you get a whole bunch of damage from other skills. That's essentially what it does. We're not going to read all the things, but essentially when bone armor is active, you're getting a whole bunch of bonus damage to other skills, right? So in my build, I have Devour, I have Frailty, I have Blood Rush, which is the teleport, and it costs me life. And then I have Skeletal Mage that consumes all my essence, and Siphon Blood, right? Right. So Devour, what it does, essentially it is an aura with this rune. It makes it so that whenever an enemy dies, I'm getting 10 essence per corpse. So, you know, I'm constantly filling up my essence, and this allows me to use up Skeletal Mage with Singularity rune that consumes all my essence, but it immediately gets filled up, you'll see in the gameplay, with the Devour aura, right? But it consumes all my essence and receiving 3% of extra damage per point of essence consumed. So, you know, I got 270 times 3, that's like almost 900, you know, 810 percent increased damage to my skeletal mages. So that's kind of a lot whenever it's completely full. It's up to 810%. right? And then I have Siphon Blood with Blood Sucker. You pull health globes within 40 yards while siphoning. Siphon Blood, what it does is whenever you attack with Siphon Blood, you have a chance, 100% chance, to cast a free Blood Nova. And Blood Nova is a, it's like a circle of damage around me. It's kind of like a spender, right? These are like my secondaries. You have your Bone Spear, Skeletal Mages, and your Death Nova, skills that spend your resource. And then Death Nova, Blood Nova is this one. It's completely free, right? And you're going to be able to see it just like a big red circle around the caster. Alright, this funerary pick is not ideal for the build. It's just, the one that I have because it's like an ancient. But it allows you to siphon blood from 2 additional targets, which is not like terrible, but I would much rather have something else. I'm going to show you. In the cube, I have this weapon, Scythe of the Cycle. You can see it. Which allows secondary skills deal 400% additional damage while bone armor is active, so it synergizes with the bone armor set. And then, but each time you use your skeletal mages, it reduces the duration of the bone armor buff, which gives you the damage reduction per enemy. Right, so it's by 4 seconds. So you got to make sure that your bone armor buff does not expire. I'm going to show you that in a moment. Now here you get additional 50% damage reduction when there is an enemy afflicted by any of your curses. And Frailty here is an aura, which is a curse, right? It makes it so that enemies that have 15% health instantly die. So it's like a culling strike with 15%. Extremely powerful. And this thing makes it an aura, so I don't have to worry about it. It's just constantly there. So I got the Aura of Devour and Aura of Frailty for essence gain, and for Culling Strike 15% or lower. And then Blood Rush is my teleport, alright? So the second weapon I would much rather have in equipped for this build is this Trag Owl's Corroded Fang, which makes it so that you deal 200% increased damage to cursed enemies, right? Currently this does not give me any kind of bonus damage. It only makes it so I drain blood from 2 additional targets, which is completely useless in comparison to this, right? 200%. Of course the auto attack does kind of like do some damage, but it's completely it's not that significant, I guess I would say. It just always going to cast the Blood Nova regardless, because of this offhand, right? The Blood Nova. Now here we got extra damage against slowed enemies, or triple that bonus to enemies that are afflicted by other type of control impairment effect, which gets procced by my bone armor, because my bone armor will stun enemies. So triple that, so almost 300% extra damage to enemies that are stunned. Here we have uncursed enemies are pulled to the target location when a curse is applied to them. So this makes it so the circle around me, the curse circle around me, makes it so that enemies that are nearby are going to get pulled, and then they're going to get hit by the Blood Nova, which you're going to be able to see. Here I just got Tasker and Theo, because the Skeletal Mage, it's duration based, right? But it will, it's considered to be a minion skill, right? Even if it's duration based, it's still a minion, and then this gives a bunch of attack speed to that minion. And then here is a pretty important item as well. Wisdom of Kalan or Kalen increases the maximum stacks of bone armor by 5. So originally it has 10 enemies, so this will give you 15, and that's a whole bunch more of extra damage reduction that you would normally not get. And this is just Nemesis Braces to get some extra elite packs going from shrines and from pylons. Here got the Ring of Royal Grandeur. I still haven't found the 6th piece. I still haven't found the you know, the gloves for this build. Normally I would use the glove and sage set to allow me to get additional death breaths whenever we're killing enemies in normal rifts. And then over here you gain 50% additional damage reduction if there's an enemy afflicted by any of your curses. So we get a bunch of damage reduction here and from the bone armor. And that's kind of like how the build works. When it comes to the passives, I picked up Standalone, which increases the armor by 100%, which is kind of a lot for our toughness. And then Fueled by Death, which gives us speed whenever we consuming a corpse, which is all the time because, you know, devours an aura and we don't have to think about it. Extended Servitude increases the duration of those skeletal mages. Original 6 seconds, 25% more would be around 8 seconds or more. And then Final Service is the cheat death passive, right? So whenever we die, we don't die. We have like 4-second immunity and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, let's get in there. And let's do a rift. This is Torment 13. Of course, my character is, you know, not optimized. I don't have any gems augmented and all that kind of stuff. My socketed gems are not even. Okay, we're lagging a little bit. My socketed gems are not even at max level, but this will kind of like give you an idea of what's going on. The circle on the ground is from the Templar. It's Oculus Ring. Right, so whenever I'm left clicking, you see those blood novas that are happening. That's going on whenever I'm like left clicking on monsters. And it's kind of like important to have your we are in a situation here. It's kind of like important to have your you know, your stacks up at all times. I'm stunned and CC'd 24/7 here. So you see, I'm like, whenever I'm right-clicking, my essence goes down and immediately goes back up because of all the corpses on the ground, right? So I'm able to, yeah, so I'm able to resummon my skeletal mage that does pretty nice work there. Again, it's always important to make sure that you have your bone armor stacks up. You see it says 15. See how everything is getting pulled to the area of the curse? That's also pretty sweet. Goblins, easy clap. And again, like, corpses are being devoured, and I'm getting that essence happening constantly, so. And the tornado around me is the effect of the bone armor. It does a little bit of damage, it's not that significant. You kind of always have to use your blood siphon to proc the blood nova in this build to be able to actually kill enemies. This cyclone of bones is not going to do too much. I guess it will kill trash mobs, but not much more than that. And yeah, I mean, I've been kind of having a blast doing some rifts with this build. It's been a lot of fun. Oh no, Nightmare Machine to the Molten? No thanks. So yeah, it's been a whole bunch of fun doing the leveling with this character. Now this is the first time in forever that I did greater, or just rifts, not greater rifts, but just like rifts for leveling. And yeah, I mean, I gotta say, it's been fun. It's been fun. I've been enjoying Diablo 3, which is something don't remember I could say for such a long time, you know, for the longest time I was just like complete disdain from this game and from Blizzard and all that stuff, but I mean, I gotta say it's not that bad. It's not that bad at all. It's actually been quite fun. And I don't know if that makes you feel like getting back to the game or not, but I can tell you that, at least for me, it's been a very pleasant experience. Especially, you know, getting back to playing Diablo also meant that I would inevitably, you know, meet some of the old Diablo fans that used to watch the stream, and that's always fun seeing the Twitch names from like 7 and 8 years ago and 6 years ago, like people that we used to hang out with every day, grinding 10-12 hours of Diablo, just like we did with Path of Exile. So for the most part, that's been a lot of fun for me. Look at that mage just going ham. So yeah, you always gotta make sure that you have like enemies around you with this build, because you don't want to get stuck without your bone armor, because then you're like super squishy, and at the beginning of the rift, that's actually what happens. See, so like you always refresh it with some enemies. Beginning of the rift, I actually procced my those of you that noticed, I had a little you know, the final servitude, I guess it's called, this passive, final service. So I actually proc, and that's like my cheap death passive. Set ring. Oh, a two-handed size. What are you? It's always exciting finding new legendaries, because oh, look at that, a new ammo. Like, I don't know these items. It's kind of cool. I literally have no idea what these items are about and what they do, so I'm just enjoying it because everything is new to me, and I'm like trying out new items and all. It's super cool, actually. Oh god. I only have 8 stacks there. Now 11, so we're doing alright. I don't think you can really play this build without having the 15 stacks. Like, without having the 15 stacks, the build is becoming pretty tough to play. But yeah, I mean, there's always the good old tricks of upgrading rares to legendaries and doing some bounties to get your, you know, Sage set recipe and the Ring of Old Grandeur and all those things. So essentially, like I said, it's the same game, but now with a character I haven't played it before, so that makes it a little different, and I think it's worthwhile getting into, maybe for a couple of weeks, because why not? At least that's, oh yeah, I procced all those explosions. And also, now that I look at it, I only have the 5 stacks. Yeah, now it's 15. So yeah, you would proc whenever you have less than 15. And yeah, the stun allows for extra damage. Another gem goblin. But you see, the Blood Nova is doing massive damage, and everything is getting pulled to the Blood Nova, which is really kind of nice synergy. And you're constantly up with, you know, look at that essence. It's just constantly up and running, and like no problem at all. You know, you're always kind of like full. Stun, and then he's gone. So yeah, man, it's a pretty fun little build. The Torment is only Torment 13, but again, my character is not in place where we could do Torment 16 right off the bat. I mean, I am playing solo and slow progress. Let's go and identify these things and check out these new legendary items, because I don't know, I haven't seen them. It's always nice. I did do a solo Greater Rift 70, and that unlocks Primal Legendaries. Now, those that don't know what Primal oh, this amulet has a socket, interesting. Those that don't know what Primal Legendaries are essentially ancient items that are also perfectly rolled. Now, in the Ratma's set, you see, look at the background of the legendaries, these set items. This thing is a primal because in fact it rolled maximum of every single roll and it doesn't have a variance like the comparison item that I have, the Inarius Understanding, right? The Ratma's Skull has different kind of background to the item and like a red rectangle frame to the item, so you can tell it's a primal. And it also rolled 1,000 intelligence as opposed to, I don't know what it is that, you know, 700 to 1,000 for like an ancient version. So just like capped out maximum rolls for ancient items, maximum rolls for everything. So that's pretty cool. Obviously, primal weapon is kind of like the dream because everything is weapon based in this game. But yeah, when you're doing a level 70 Greater Rift solo, this enables you to start dropping primal items. Dexterity, Wailing Host, no. Oh, this is an ancient. You gain increased movement speed for 10 seconds after using Blood Rush. That's not bad. And this, Nair's Black Death. Each different poison skill you use increases the damage of your poison skills by 75 to 100%. This is something that we may want to use in the cube, potentially, I don't know. And then this we've seen, and this is a new amulet. Simulacrum drains 1% of your maximum life every second and lasts forever. They can now duplicate Grim Scythe instead of Skeletal Mage. Okay, Simulacrum is a skill that duplicates your active skill. So like whenever you're using like Death Nova, right, the Simulacrum skeleton will cast Death Nova. So it's a duration based skill. You see it has a cooldown of 120 seconds and it lasts for 15 seconds. But this amulet makes it last forever for a small cost of draining 1% life per second, which I guess is not all that bad. So definitely great drops all across the board. So yeah, I think I had this item. Oh, this was also an ancient. This one rolled better, right? The movement speed, yeah, it did indeed roll better, and this is something that we're definitely going to use. And it has the poison stuff, so I don't know. Too bad it doesn't have crit or crit damage. But you know, either way, it's a pretty decent amulet, and we can always cube it, right? So yeah, this was the Necromancer. This is my thoughts on Diablo, and I'm gonna be streaming for a little bit, pretty much I guess every day now for a few hours each time. Not the 10, 12, 18-hour grind or 44-hour grind that we did. Those of you may know the longest stream was 44 hours. I went for the 48 and I just could not function after 44 hours. That was like 7 years ago, I guess, maybe 6 years or something like that. But yes, definitely 3 to 4 hours, kind of like hanging out, chilling. Feel free to hop in. We're streaming pretty much all the time. Welcome new and old friends. Make sure to follow the stream. Check out the links below. And we'll see you around when we see you. Bye-bye for now. Thanks for watching.